You should read your Bible, sirs. You'll find all types of weird shit in there.
Hey, want to have a rousing discussion about truth, honor, patriotism?
No, not you. Not you. Your organization's terrible. Quiet. I'm not going to give you a question. You are fake news.
How about new, you crazy Dutch bastard?
You ever been mind fucked before?
You are fake news.
On a mirror.
The media said what?
Let's see what these deep state characters are up to.
Now you see that evil will always triumph because good is dumb.
The music stopped, Dutch. It's over. It's over.
Hi.
They're watching us now.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, America. It's
Everybody.
It's the guy with the water.
Dutch.
I've got lots of Trump water and some water that's not so Trumpy.
And you made it out of Utah. That's an accomplishment.
I did. I made it across the country. When we talked last on Friday, I was in Utah.
Yes.
And I think Lindsay was very torn. Like I could see as we were talking during the podcast, there was this clear like duality going on. And she was on one hand, very nervous about my close proximity to her residence.
There was a little fear.
Yeah. But on the other side, there was a genuine fear for my well-being. So like,
I just because I don't want you here doesn't mean I want you in Utah. Two things can be true at the same time, Dutch.
Yeah, Mikey.
Yeah, Mikey. Jesus.
So this guy's proven wrong every 2 minutes. Yeah, but so I drove through. Actually, I got really lucky. And as the Christians would say, the Lord bless me. But I got very lucky. I didn't hit 2,100 miles, not one drop of rain hit my windshield.
Wow.
Which is pretty astonishing.
In like February, that's astounding.
Yeah, so it must be God.
You were doing something. It was the exorcism. We took the devil out of you. Jesus blessed you.
The devil got confused. He went to the wrong place.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know. I don't know. Is this one part of my team or not? I don't know.
He was looking at his compass and it's spinning. He's like, if only I were an eternal being that had supernatural powers. Oh, wait, I am.
Yeah, he just, the snow got sent to like Portland and your drive was snowless. So
yeah, but it's got to go to Portland because that's where all the, the riots and protests and the city's still burning from 2020. I mean, I'm not sure the fires are out. I think they're still raging.
Yeah, the libs are out just looting, I've heard.
Dumpsters burning everywhere.
Yeah, it's just like what I hear in Idaho. They constantly are like, we don't want Boise to turn into Portland. That's a city of unhinged depravity. So from what I've heard, it's wild there.
I've never been to Portland, so I can't say. But
I drove through once and it looked like a city. So
yeah, I've heard it's pretty lame, to be honest with you. They only have one pro sports team. Well, then again, Boise has zero. But
I was like, well, Dutch, I've got none. So
does Boise count as a city?
Yes, Boise is like the same size as Salt Lake City proper. So
oh, that's the other. And like I thought I was going to try to go through Salt Lake, but I wanted to get a hotel room there. And like I think we mentioned last week, like I couldn't figure out why the rooms were so expensive. I'm like, a Motel 6 was like $450. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why is this? And it was the NBA All-Star game.
Yeah. My husband was down there last week. I didn't want to say anything while he was gone, but yeah, he was down there, and the hotels, I was like, why are these so expensive? And
Isn't it sad that you can't say anything while your husband's gone because the idiots will be like, oh, she's alone, let's go.
Yes,
No.
I know. I'm like, I always have to be really careful, because the last week at one point I almost said, hey, say hi to my husband. And I'm like, no,
Oh,
I
actually,
don't want
wait a
to.
minute. Yeah.
I don't want to die.
Yeah. You don't need the readout coming. Oh, green light. We have a green light on Falcon 2. We have a green light on Falcon 2. Engage.
Yeah.
Husband has left the nest.
Yeah. Whereabouts of Mr. Socialistly Awkward have to be just, as far as anybody knows, he is always in this house. So
in fact, there's 2 of him there.
yeah, always. Yeah, we cloned him. So there's one always at home, and then he just does what he wants. So
You've got him who's just, him. And then you've got the soulless clone that's like,
yeah.
Holy.
I know. Can you just go stand by the window so if any like psychos come, they see like
Hi,
a man?
bird. Hi,
Yeah.
birdie.
The lengths I have to go to. So
Tons of mice is in the bushes. Uh-oh.
I know, seriously. I don't know who's trying to get a toe picture, so I gotta be on my game.
Honestly, you should be afraid. I mean, you do these terrible things like, I don't know, fighting racism and such like that. Like, so you should be afraid of readout, but the real fear is from Tons of Mice and the toe picks, because he's always there with his birds.
I know. Well, he's got the fake birds, so you're like, oh, look, birds, and then he gets the pictures. That's how he
The
gets
clone's
you.
like, look, bird. Oh, robot.
I
bird.
know. Oh no.
Hey, bird. But what's up, Ben? What's you're in good claw. You're in good talons. We're in good talons with Tons
Do
of
the
Mice.
chickens have large talents?
Yeah. But so what's I'm gonna we're gonna look at some, like I talked about last week, some prophetic stuff this week, which some of it is absolutely hilarious and most of it is incoherent.
That's gonna be amazing.
But what's happening out in the Utah politics or the Idaho politics space?
I'm saying I don't know about Utah, but have you heard of Greater Idaho?
There's a Greater Idaho?
There's a Greater Idaho. Well, right now we're Lesser Idaho, and they want to be Greater Idaho. So
what's that, Canada?
No, that would actually be greater. No, what they want to do is get Eastern Oregon, and a bunch of counties in Eastern Oregon have said, like, we want to be part of Idaho too. And so the Idaho legislature signed this like resolution that they want to have talks with Eastern Oregon about taking like everything east of Bend and making it Idaho.
Wait. Will you get the Blockbuster?
Where is the Blockbuster?
In Bend.
No, we don't get anything in Bend.
Oh, that's the last Blockbuster. So that would be actually good to get, because then you could say you in the state with the last Blockbuster.
No, we don't. We wouldn't get anything cool. We would get more like Christian nationalists and MAGA. So,
these nuts.
But yeah, so no, it wouldn't be it. Like they call it Greater Idaho, but it's like how they name bills and stuff. It's not real. It would in fact just be a whole ass mess. But so we're having talks about that. It's never going to happen. But then, MTG started talking about the national divorce and everything. And so that really, everyone in Idaho was like, we are trying to do that, which is optimal.
Yeah, I was thinking, I totally forgot to pull some of that stuff up before. Yeah, they're talking secession. But and I was looking at that yesterday, and I totally forgot to like pull some of the clips up for the show for that, because it just skipped my mind. But like, she's going on and talking about red states and blue states, like literally having different countries. So you're going to have this hodgepodge where they'll have like a state here, but 600 miles of unfriendly territory in the middle. And oddly, I don't know if Marjorie Taylor Greene thought of this or not yet, but she's kind of in a blue state. So
Yeah.
they have two
Yeah.
Democrat senators. Georgia would be. Do we get Georgia? Do we get MTG? Is she in the new country?
I don't
with
want
us?
her. I don't want her. Can she move somewhere else and we'll just take Georgia? Well, did you see that 70% of the counties that would leave or it was like all the states and counties and stuff that would not be part of the like whatever they think the country would be, make up 70% of the GDP. So
Yeah, I
they're
don't
like,
think she
yeah,
thought
you
it
can
through.
have the red states that
Yeah,
don't produce anything.
you can have all the look, and D's nuts. I think you're right. She didn't think it through.
No.
But the funny thing is, like, I've made this joke like 6 times, but I don't think I've made it on here, so it's a new joke to you. When you drive across the country, well, I mean, California, Chicago, it's not all the way across the country, but it's a good portion of the way. I think 90% of my drive was in Nebraska. Okay, and
that never ends. That drive is forever.
No, it's the worst, and every inch looks like the inch before it, and most certainly will look like the inch after it.
Yeah.
But like,
rumor has it you're still driving through Nebraska.
In the multiverse, I'm still in Nebraska. Most of the multiverse. This is one of the few instances where I've made it out.
You got it out. Good. Congratulations.
It's like a vortex. It just continues. It layers over itself and it continues on.
Yeah.
And like there was a city, I think it was called Waverly. And when I looked at the water tower, I was like, oh, Waverly, that's Iowa. I'm in Iowa. Cool. 2 hours later, I see a sign that says Iowa 30 miles. And I'm like, I've thought I've been in Iowa for 2 hours. Waverly apparently Waverly, Iowa sounds like a town. Waverly, Nebraska doesn't sound right. But I guess, what do I know? Nebraska rules all.
Yeah. No, it just
husking.
never. There's it's like the West Coast. And then like a little bit of Rocky Mountains for a couple hours, and then Nebraska for 10 years, and then the East Coast.
Yeah, it took me a while to get through the Rockies, but like the Rockies kind of like it kind of starts in Utah and then it kind of goes up. But it was the Rockies were beautiful, but
I would say at least it's beautiful. Nebraska just looks like nothing.
Nothing was as beautiful as the last time that the wife and I drove the opposite way coming back a couple of years ago when we drove through Salt Lake. Salt Lake is just absolutely majestic. It is just so beautiful.
Oh, it is gorgeous. It absolutely, and driving through those passes, like to get over to Wyoming or Colorado, absolutely stunning.
Yeah, I don't know. Wyoming, I think, lost out on the borders because there's nothing in Wyoming either.
Okay, their border with Idaho, they have the Tetons, and that's stunning, and Jackson. So over
I haven't seen
there, okay, that's gorgeous. That's absolutely gorgeous.
What is the Tetons?
These mountains that are really pretty over like by eastern Idaho and Wyoming.
Okay.
I could show you a picture probably, but
yeah,
they're really, really pretty.
Some of the cool stuff that I saw was the I forget what they call them, but they're the geological structures where, like, you know, the crust of the earth pops up, and then with the erosion, it looks like there's people, you know?
Yeah.
And there's a name for these. Like, I don't know if they count as like monolithic pieces. I guess they're kind of monolithic because they're one piece of stone, but you can see the layers in it. So you can see all the geology, which Ham says never happened. You know, why are there these lines on here? Well, those were the different 40 days of the flood, of course.
Yeah. The silt just every day.
Thanks, Ken. You always have an answer.
Yeah.
But yeah, those were pretty cool. But like when I'm driving through like the hills in California, I mean, I'm used to driving through like what, you know, kind of mountains and hills in California.
Yeah.
And like you drive through them and you pop your ears a little bit. You kind of look up, you can see the top of the hill. It's not that, but in the Rockies, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah. You can't even see the top. Here, I've got the Tetons pulled up for you. Here you go.
Make sure it's the Tetons and not, Red Tube.
Yeah. I'll do what I can. I'll try to make sure I'm showing you the right thing. Here we go. So see, they're gorgeous.
Yeah, those do look awesome.
Like they're really, really pretty. So Wyoming did do a great job with the Tetons, but not so much on the Utah side.
In is it California? Yeah, in California we have the boobs.
That's what the Tetons are.
But these
the
are
grand titties.
let me see if I can find these.
Yeah, that's what
Boobs
Teton
on
means.
the
So.
way to San Diego, I think it is. In California, there is a. Is there going to be? Is this going to know what I'm talking about? There's these two like. It's not coming up in the picture. Apparently, I'm not typing it in right. But if you drive to San Diego, it might be like an Irvine or something. There's these two giant silos, and they're on the side of the road. And on the tops of both of them, they have like little circle houses. And it literally looks like a giant pair of man-made metal boobs sitting on the side of the road. They're
Okay.
not anywhere near as majestic as the Grand Tetons, but it was California's best ripoff.
Yeah. California's like, we got Tetons too. Not really.
Ours are Robo. They fell off of Megamaid from the Spaceballs movie.
Yeah.
You know, after Megamaid blew up, she went from suck to blow and then blew up.
And then blew up. Well,
but her boobs are resting by the water in San Diego.
Well, that's fun. Yeah. So, you know.
It's like, well, that's fun. Moving on.
Okay.
Moving on. Now we know why
she was sharp turn there. We took a sharp turn.
Now we know why she was so split by me being in Utah. Okay, so back to Marjorie Taylor Greene. So she was talking about this whole like secession, severance, dividing up of the baby, like in the Bible or whatever she's calling it. And like she's delivering this as like an actual salient. She thinks it's a salient thought.
She knows who she's talking to because there are so many people in Idaho who talk about this on a daily basis. Like she was speaking to some very specific people and they heard it and they agree.
The crazy part was to me though that it seems like Fox News is divided on who agrees with her. Like Laura Ingraham was like, "This is a stupid idea."
Yeah.
And Sean Hannity, with the very show after, was like, "This is a fucking awesome idea. We should totally fucking do this."
I even think that's their new thing is where some hosts agree with the craziest shit and some don't. So then it can be like, everybody has their opinions and we're not pushing a narrative because they're totally getting slapped with the January 6th stuff. So I think this is their new, you agree, you disagree, you agree, you disagree.
And Tucker's like half agreeing. Well, I halfway agree. What? Do I all the way agree?
Yeah. What does that mean?
Yeah. I don't understand. But it's like, if Republicans, this is the crazy part. If Republicans could have their way, they wouldn't stop at dividing up by states. They literally would say, I've literally heard them advocate for cutting up the country by county. Like, oh, we should just do electoral votes by county. Why? Because they did the count there and they were like, oh shit, we'd win like every election from now until forever because we will win all the counties with 7 people. Exactly.
Well, originally, like the Greater Idaho movement was going to be Eastern Washington, including Spokane, Eastern Oregon, and a huge chunk of Northern California. And so the whole point of that was they were going to have like, of course, just the 2 senators, but then they were also going to have like 7 legislators. And that's part of the point of it is they're like, hey, let's combine forces and get more far right legislators because it's pulling the far right out of the entire state of Idaho, but pulling the far right out of other blue states and making like a conglomerate of super red. You're going to get the furthest of the far right crazies, and like then that's going to give them more of a voice in the legislature in all of these decisions because they will always be solidly red.
Yeah, I'm no longer really drawing a line between what they call the far right and the regular right. I
No.
don't see much difference.
No. Oh, every single, we had an anti-trans bill, and every single Republican voted against trans kids, against them getting any kind of health care, any kind of health care at all. And so I know I keep hearing this like, well, we need more moderate Republicans. For what? Show me where they are, because they're not doing anything different. They're going along to get along. And then every so often they make a show where they're like, that might be too far. Really?
Yeah, and then they show up on
Okay.
MSNBC and they're like, look how reasonable this Republican is for not trying to stamp on people's rights.
Yeah, exactly. Not trying to like get rid of LGBTQ people. Look, they're so moderate. They're so agreeable.
Yeah,
Okay.
yesterday I watched let me ask you a question. If you had to sit through a Jubilee panel, on a Jubilee panel or a Vice panel, which would you do?
Ooh. Probably Vice.
You do the Vice panel?
I'd probably do the Vice panel.
I was going to go the other way. I think I'd almost rather do the Jubilee panel because they're well, one, because they're sometimes they're anonymous, but like I was watching these Vice panels and like this yesterday, and like they had like these, what was it? Probably I forget if it was 8 or 10 people on to talk about education, and they brought in not one but 2 PragerU contributors to sit on this panel. I'm like, they continue to platform these right wingers. I almost said far right, but they're not. Like they're
yeah, no, they've become they've entrenched themselves. They're the conservatives.
Yeah, and Vice has the reputation as like supposedly being on the left. I don't know where the hell that comes from.
I know. I see. I'd almost want to do it just so I could confront them. That's kind of my thing. I like confront, because they're going to pick somebody who's super far right, and like, let's go. Then if you're going to say that, okay, let's call that. Let's call every second of what you said out. But yeah, no, I agree with you though that Vice has had some kind of questionable stances lately. I don't know who they're trying to cater to, because it's not like the right is going to embrace them as the new like Breitbart or whatever. So some of the things they've been posting, I don't know who they think they're marketing that to.
It makes for fun Twitch streams, but also like when you have to pause the video literally every 20 seconds to say what their person, their supposed left-wing representative didn't say, because they're trying to be nice.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too, is they're left people. I'd want to get on and finally be like, I am actually a leftist. Let's go. Because half the time the people are like, that's not so bad. Like,
yeah,
we should definitely allow Marjorie Taylor Greene to head up committees because, she didn't do anything wrong leading up to January 6th. You're right. Like, we can't prove it.
Yeah. I don't know. Of course I'll continue to do it. I'll continue to watch these things. I'll continue to torture myself.
Yeah.
It's certainly better than watching Matt Walsh.
Oh my Lord.
But also sometimes not as fun. Like Matt Walsh is like the lowest hanging fruit there is.
Mm-hmm.
He's just so easy to dissect. Like his arguments are the easiest thing to overcome. That it's ridiculous.
I don't know what was happening, but for like 3 weeks on Twitter, I saw every single one of his goddamn tweets. He tweets like 20 times a day. He wasn't, but I don't know what Elon did to that algorithm, but like everything, like I would get on and just be like, Matt Walsh. I don't know what was happening, but it was a nightmare and I couldn't get away from it.
Do you still believe you're a woman?
I don't know what a woman is anymore.
Have you succumbed to the patriarchy?
At this point, I'm like, just from reading all of his posts, I should be, pregnant and barefoot in the kitchen. Like, Jesus.
Well, see, Matt Walsh is working then. I mean, it's where Elon and Matt Walsh want you barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So, you know,
They're just bombard them with posts, and they're somehow that's the power of Twitter. That's
you
just
see
where
Matt
end up.
Gaetz because a friend follows them.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, fat Matt Gaetz.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that must be. Is that on Facebook? It's got to be on Facebook.
Oh no, he says. Well, I don't know. I'm assuming Twitter. Yeah, the algorithm on your feed is based on friends. Yeah, luckily I don't know. Maybe I blocked somebody and I don't see that anymore because it's been really good for like 3 weeks. But there for a little while, all I was seeing was Matt Walsh, and it was an absolute nightmare.
I kind of gave up on Twitter. I used to be big Twitter. Like I was like trying to grow on Twitter and like, you know, trying to use that platform. And like right before Elon bought it, I just noticed that it was starting to change, and like it stopped being fun for me. Like it stopped becoming. I got to the point where I felt cringy when I was about to get on Twitter, instead of like, oh yeah, you know, I'm gonna go check out Twitter and like see what's going on in Twitter space and all this type of stuff. Because spaces I think were good for Twitter, but then they just became right-wing hellholes and anti-progressive hellholes, you know.
Oh yeah, no, spaces became kind of a nightmare. And it's just platform, like these people who, because you can just make these troll accounts and get on there. So it's just they're able to create new, you know, be in those spaces and create new media for their groups that want to see it.
Sally 1997, what does ally mean? That means that we are announcing that we are ally to marginalized groups. That
we support them and make space for them.
It's basically the way that Twitch categorizes, like, you know, being an ally to, you know, marginalized communities. So it doesn't necessarily specify one or the other, but you know, yeah, it's a pretty common left-wing tag, I would say. For you won't see any conservatives with ally.
No.
Unless they're meaning to say, I'm an ally to the white supremacists.
Oh my gosh.
WS ally. MAGA ally.
For real. They're going to start using that. You know, now you know. They're going to be like, I'm an ally to patriots.
I'm an ally to Dark Brandon. Before we get to these videos, though, I did want to ask you about the Trump visit. I hate to admit this, but yeah, whites are marginalized. That's what they'll say. That's exactly what they'll say. But I hate to admit this, but like I think that the Trump visit to Ohio, while it was completely fake and completely self-promoting and completely disingenuous, especially with his branded water.
Oh my God. And his hats that he passed out at McDonald's.
And at one point in the interview, he goes, oh, all the water got here on this guy's trucking company. Thanks to your trucking company for doing such a great job. He's a great friend to my son, Eric. And we're like, oh, whoa. So you hired your son's company. That's interesting. Did you use campaign dollars for that? Anyway, but I do think it was, I know it was a joke, butter knives. But I think it was a smart political move. I mean, I actually think it was very shrewd on his part, and it probably will be effective, unfortunately.
Well, he has the benefit that some other people don't have of he already announced his candidacy. And, you know, there's a few feeling it out, but he already threw his hat in the ring. So yeah, at this point he can go and make that huge. I mean, it was just like a very political kiss some babies, hand out some MAGA hats, hand people some water, you know, probably sell his NFT, something like that. But now once the campaign gets going, he can look back on them and be like, I stood with the people of Ohio. Like, it was a smart political move.
Yeah.
I mean, the people supporting
don't
his
say that much.
campaign aren't necessarily bad at getting that publicity at those right times. And he has the benefit of jumping in first. Like it's awful and I hate it, but it is what it is.
Well, and also last thing on the derailment, and Butter Knives says this is a smart political move, except for Fox calling him out for removing the standards for toxic materials. And that's true, although this rail would not have, that particular chemical would not have qualified. But the question then becomes, why would that particular what is it, vinyl chloride or something like that? Why would that, it's clearly toxic. Oh, it's not toxic enough. I mean, you won't die within 5 minutes. So you have a chance to run from the monster. But the railroad came under fire, though. The CEO went on, I think it was CNBC, and was talking about, well, I think about it every day. Like apparently the $1 billion that we invested in safety and everything wasn't enough. They did invest $1 billion into their infrastructure over the course of the last couple of years. They also did $4 billion in stock buybacks and laid off half their employees.
Yes. Well, and I think what Butter Knives brought up is it didn't have to be labeled. It didn't qualify under the EPA regulations to be labeled because they changed the regulations. But those trains should have had this certain type of brake that could have helped prevent the accident, and they didn't. And they didn't have to have those anymore because of under Trump. I actually have a theory about this, Butter Knives. I think that Fox doesn't want Trump to be the candidate.
Oh, definitely. Right.
Like they're not going to say that. They're absolutely not going to say that. But they have had so much of a headache dealing with everything after January 6th that they don't want him to be the candidate. And so they can't come out and say it, but they're going to hint at it that like, hey, Trump actually got rid of these brake regulations and that caused that. So he's passing out hats, but we could just have not a natural disaster. So anyway, yeah. So I think I'm interested to see how the primaries play out with that. I think they're going to very like softly sabotage him.
It's going to be very interesting on both sides, honestly, because you have Marianne Williamson now, of course, who's going to be running against Biden. That's not much of a threat.
Why is Biden running again? I thought that was the whole point. He said he would run one time.
Did he actually say that? Did Biden say that?
I swear to God, he said. I swear to God, in one of the debates, he was like, "Just this one time, so we can get rid of Trump," and everyone was like, "All right."
That was what was implied, but I'm not sure that he actually said that. But it definitely seemed to be implied that, the plausible read there was that this was going to be a one and done, and then he was going to pass off the keys to the kid, Kamala, whose approval ratings are somehow below Biden's right now. Why? Like, it's not like she's done anything, but it's not.
I was going to say she hasn't done it. I mean,
president.
We could literally it's probably because she's a Black woman.
No, that can't possibly it. That we don't see color in this country. All lives matter.
You're right. We're post-racial.
We're post-racial. We're the all lives matter generation.
Oh my God. But I mean, her approval ratings have always been very, very low for no reason. She hasn't done anything, not in a good or bad way. She hasn't really done much. I just think they're always going to be bad because of who she is.
I'm not a huge fan of Kamala Harris's, but not because of her personhood, because of the fact that she doesn't support universal health care and has come out time and time again against it, and then campaigned on loosening immigration, on immigration reform, and then got up on stage and said, "Do not come." We do not want you here. Do not come. Like, okay. The left will.
Well, and I mean, and her record in California with incarceration and like.
Yeah. And I lived there.
I know. I'm not a huge fan, but I don't think she's like been worse than like literally anybody. She's like the same.
Yeah, I mean, she's no different than like if Dick Durbin was the vice president. I would feel the exact same way about Dick Durbin.
Exactly.
maybe not Mansion or Cinema, but the other 48, if Cory Booker was vice president, I'd probably feel pretty similar, or what's his face, Stalwell, Eric Schlawwell,
Eric
Stallwell,
Stallwell.
however the fuck you pronounce his name. They're all the same. They're all corporate Democrats who are going to tell you that they're on your side and then ultimately, I don't know, bow to corporations. But speaking of the corporations, again, like I said, they did $4 billion. This rail company did $4 billion in stock buybacks. Honestly, I don't see how the laser, the laser pointer should be squarely pointed at this company. This is definitely something where, like, look, Biden has happened under him, so you have to own it. Like, if it was a good thing, you get it. Like, that's the way that it works.
I would say if you're the manager, it's all your fault.
Right. Like, and that's completely understandable, right? Like, so he's going to catch some smoke for this. And honestly, one of the main things he's going to catch smoke for is the fact that he's a self-admitted raging capitalist and loves the fact that they and these regulations and that these companies, get to be deregulated, because he always says, oh, well, we need to regulate. Oh, you're going to deregulate? Oh, well, darn, shucks.
Oh, you guys, it's for the good of the economy.
Yeah, but then will I roll it back? No, he didn't roll back the Trump tax cuts. He didn't roll back these rail parameters that they had set up under Obama. All the stuff, and this is why when people tell us, and Lindsay, I know that this is true. I'm not preaching to you, but like when we tell people that there is a fucking obvious ratchet effect with politics in this country. Like, oh, what are you talking about? We're so woke. Everything's going completely to the left.
No,
like, no, what are you talking about?
Like, nothing is like nothing, even like in the government, like we get like a teeny, like, a little to the left, and then it like ratchets forward to the right, because they're like, we have to repeal all of that socialism of train tracks.
Well, for everything. I mean, every single thing that Trump put in
every single topic.
Has Biden moved the embassy back to Tel Aviv?
No,
he loves it being in Jerusalem. He thinks it's the greatest thing ever.
No. Well, and just even like, or do you know what's going on in Texas? Have you heard about with mifepristone, the abortion medication? What's going on there?
I've heard that is that the one that they're trying to ban the mail order of, which is unconstitutional?
They're trying to ban all FDA approval of it, so no one can use it in any part of the country. And I think it will happen because the judge is a psycho. And so what it is, so when you get a chemical abortion, so before 10 weeks, or like right at 10 weeks gestation, up until then you can do a chemical abortion, which is you do mifepristone and misoprostol, and you take those two medications, you have an abortion. It's like 99.6% effective. Very safe. You can do it at home, not a problem. But what they want to do is get rid of mifepristone and make it completely illegal and pull the FDA approval of it. And so nobody in the entire country will have access.
Under what premise?
So it was initially approved. It's like approved for one of the things it's approved under for illness. And they're like, it's not used for illness. It's used for pregnancy, which is a condition. But they tried to do the same thing under George Bush in like 2008, where they really investigated it and were trying to kind of pull it then. Yeah. But we have tons of, like, Viagra is also under that. There's like tons and tons of medications that are under that label that are used for a variety of things. And so you can't just we don't just pull a drug because of that. And then now we have like 27 years of data, 5 million people in this country who've used it, and it's very safe. Like, it's safer than Tylenol. And so anyway, what they want to do is pull it because the term illness is in there, and they're like, well, pregnancy isn't an illness, it's a condition. And so it should not be allowed. Basically, like, just playing fast and loose with the rules. And so
Hmm.
but this judge is absolutely a psycho. So if he rules against the FDA approval, they have to pull it. Nobody can have it. It's used if you start to have miscarry. This is used to help control like bleeding, take care of the miscarriage. Like it is very necessary in a lot of miscarriages to make sure you don't like bleed out. And it's what makes misoprostol so effective. And so if you just take misoprostol, it's only 80% effective and you're much more likely to hemorrhage. So that's why mifepristone is so important. But anyway, the ruling didn't happen today. It will probably happen next week. And I'm assuming it will be yanked. And so
their premise is that because it's not exactly the prescribe, the reason what it was approved for is it's being used for something outside of
it is
what it was intended to be used for.
No, this is what it was used for. It's not used off label. This is exactly, so it's not even an off label drug. This is what it was meant to be used for. They just listed its use. They just listed its use under illness. And conservatives take issue with that because they're like, pregnancy is not an illness. So it's a very
they don't
minor.
think COVID is an illness either. So
no, it's a fallacy. And so it's just a very like minor. But we do that with tons of drugs. So like if they did this with this, you could do this with hundreds of drugs. It's just a minor classification issue.
So the fact that hydroxychloroquine is not intended for COVID and neither is ivermectin, is that coming up in this conversation?
No, absolutely not.
Why?
And well, because that God gave us those to get rid of COVID.
Oh, that's right. God, I forgot that God came and dropped ivermectin in the lap of Pat Robertson.
Yeah. And so like the FDA submitted all kinds of documentation about how safe it is. And one of the plaintiffs said, they're like, I don't actually care about, like, they're very honest. They're like, I don't care about any data. I don't care about how safe it is. The whole point is I don't want it on the market. I don't want anybody to have availability to use it. Like, that's the whole point.
So just die instead.
Yeah.
Just bleed out.
Yeah. Just die of miscarriages. Just bleed
that
out.
Way
just
you keep the baby instead.
Yeah. Just, if you're starting to hemorrhage, too bad. So sad. If you wanted a basically 100% effective abortion, no such luck. If you're miscarrying and bleeding a whole bunch, sucks to suck. Should have been born without a uterus.
Personal responsibility. I mean, you should just, here's an idea, don't have sex.
Yeah. But I mean, it really, we all knew they were lying when they were like, this is a states' rights issue. We all knew that's not true.
Texas has no history of trying to impact other states' rights. I mean, they just did it in the 2020 election.
Exactly. And so it was never about states' rights, but now they're being very open about the fact that no matter what state you live in, no matter who you voted for, no matter how much bodily autonomy you got from your elected officials or your elected officials fought for you, this one judge in Texas is going to take it all away.
You don't say.
I know. You know what I love is the slave owners in the 18th century built a system where this could happen. So like, I love that for us.
Sounds like CRT. Yeah.
They did such a good job. Jesus totally was like, this is the country. This is it. This is the peak of civilization.
Oh yeah. Jesus. I actually feel bad for the guy. I genuinely do, because like I don't think he really deserves to have his name slandered and the things he did and stood for. I find a lot of value in a lot of sayings of Christ, same as I would with Gandhi, and obviously Gandhi wasn't a benevolent character either.
No,
but you can find nuggets of good nuggets in like Hamilton and Washington and Gandhi and Buddha and Christ and Plato and all these people, but nobody's words have been twisted other than maybe Martin Luther King and Jesus, honestly.
Yeah,
are like the two that like they just love cherry picking and then twisting into whatever their current narrative,
whatever it is they're selling.
MLK and Jesus both believe in
Supply side capitalism.
it trickled down Reaganomics, because
Mhm.
because Reaganomics, as we all know, toppled the Berlin Wall all by itself.
All by itself. Yeah. They heard
Yeah.
trickle down economics and they're like, shit, take down this wall.
The wall
That's-
didn't fall down; it trickled down.
It trickled down with economics.
Yes, Reagan was there; he kicked it down by himself.
And Eagles. Eagles also tore down that wall.
Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bald,
then I-
just bald eagles en masse just tearing down that wall with trickle down economics and Reagan.
yeah, and the construction workers didn't wear masks because they were
No,
real
because
men.
that's oppression.
Yeah, they were real men. They didn't wear the
Mass-
face covers.
Mass are a conspiracy.
Speaking of conspiracies, so I skipped through this video. Let me kind of get it tied up here. I think it was 14 and 22. I'm gonna play. I don't think that you actually mess around with this stuff too much, but
Drugs, no, not so much.
it's well, this is worse than drugs.
Oh no.
This is worse than drugs, Lindsay. This is Robin Bullock. He is a prophet. And I'm going to skip through this a little bit. And then there's one other video after this one. I'm going to play a couple of minutes of it.
God, because it's an hour and a half long, Dutch.
No, I'm not watching. We're not watching the whole thing.
Mm-mm.
Actually, yes, we are. No,
I
but-
quit. I'm going to tap out.
wait, I got to make sure I shared the, well, we don't want to miss the audio. I wouldn't want to disappoint you.
Oh,
By not missing the
that
audio.
would be a shame.
But so he starts out generally by like singing.
Oh, good.
I mean, he's a real rock star, this guy. So we'll play a little bit of this, and I'll skip. I have a couple of places where I've earmarked it to pause. So
So excited.
let's listen to Robin Bullock, and then we'll discuss
Wait, when
a little bit of this.
when is this prophecy? When did he make it? I'm very I want to see how
This
true it
one's
was.
this one's yesterday.
Oh fuck, this is new. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, so this will all be happening in the coming days.
Oh, I'm so excited.
But this is the day to give opportunity
You'll notice the dubbing is off slightly, so it kind of looks like an old kung fu movie.
I love that.
to turn off the show.
This is your opportunity to turn off the show, listener.
All right,
Show my
let's
people
listen to the prophet.
My power.
Can you hear
Really
this?
listen
That's
to
what
him.
I raised you up
Yes.
so. Do you think you're famous because you're so wonderful? Do you think you're famous because your smile glistens?
Yes.
No. Nay, says the Lord. You're famous because I turned my glance toward you
Oh, thank you.
and made my favor shine on you. You turned a peaceful place into a war zone. You turned a peaceful place that was headed for great revival into a war zone. You divided my people. And you dared take a child and tear it apart.
Oh,
And give half to my people.
I'm sick of this violent rhetoric.
I'm going to skip forward for a second here.
Do the dry bone shake.
He starts
Oh,
singing
yeah.
here. This is actually kind of funny.
Listen, just go ahead and shake the world. And
All right, here's
Whole
where I
lot
want
of
to start
shaking.
it. Right here.
I looked up. I don't guess it matters we tell this. We might as well tell this and just go ahead and shake the world. And a whole lot of shaking going on. And so we yeah. And so we
He gets a
yeah,
kick
it's that
out of
dry
himself.
bone shake.
He thinks he's very funny.
Oh yeah, man. If I had Krista up here right now, we'd do the dry bone shake. Do the dry bone shake. Do the dry bone shake.
He goes through this for
Oh,
about 2
yeah.
minutes. So
Now,
let's skip a little bit
form
forward.
like you had seen here over New York. And so we pulled that thing down.
Oh, I went too far forward. Hold on.
Listen, we didn't pull it down quiet.
I went too far forward. I
mean,
apologize.
And I recognized this. I saw a spirit over New York.
He saw a spirit, Lindsay,
I bet he did.
over New York.
The whole state or the city?
He doesn't specify.
Okay. I like the ambiguity.
But listen to what he says next.
And so we pulled that thing down.
Okay. That's not where I thought he was going with it, but okay.
I can't get
Is it like a Ghostbusters thing?
I don't know. This is just funny to me, or if it's funny to everybody. I think it's probably just one of these things where my sense of you. But he's like, I seen the spirit over New York. I pulled that thing down.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. This is something that like somebody tells you on public transportation.
Listen,
somebody tells you this on public transportation, and you're like, okay. I got my headphones and I can't hear you.
It gets better.
Didn't pull it down quiet either. I mean, it came down. And when it came down, there was such a war hit the heavens, a storm like you had seen. One of these storms like is significant rolled in all at once. And it just
weather
started going wild in the skies and all of that.
Mm.
The all of that.
And the all of that.
And then then we got on a plane, and small one.
What?
What? The bar for profits is so low. I'm working too hard. I just should be a prophet. I just make up shit about the weather. Dutch, I saw a spirit over Chicago, and like I tore that thing out of the sky with my mind, and now you're getting snow, right?
And then you got on a plane.
And all that stuff. And then I got on a plane, like as people do.
And it gets even better.
And we had 2 Holy Ghost pilots, 2 Holy Ghost filled pilots.
He had 2 Holy Ghost pilots.
What is happening? Again, if we had like a reality show where we just went and said this shit on public transportation and recorded people's reactions, like, but people pay for this. People pay for this.
They can't get enough of it. So to recap, he was doing the dry bone shake, right? Mm-hmm. He saw a spirit over New York. He pulled it down. He got on a plane. And
but there was weather. No, wait, there was weather first.
The weather came in, and then there was 2 pilots who were the Holy Ghost.
That's so just like, again, I'm
Not
working
real
too
pilots.
hard. I'm working too hard. I should just be a prophet, apparently. I can make up stories too.
Let's see what else he's got.
And we came through where you couldn't even see outside the windows. And that plane was bouncing and jumping.
It was doing the dry bone shake.
The dry bone shake in the air.
And we come through the heavens, man, come out on the other side. And it's a new day today. Hallelujah.
So
that's it? That's not even a story.
But this is prophecy for the next 30 days.
He didn't prophesy. He just told us a story with no plot.
That's because you're not filled with the Spirit.
Yes. Again, I could do this too.
I love how the congregation is all like cheering, like, yes, that's absolutely right. When you go through a storm and it's over.
His story is, I was in New York. There was stormy weather. I got on a plane. There was a bit of turbulence, and people are cheering. Dutch, I said it so many times today. Like, what is reality? What are we doing?
Metallic Soul, you must know, this guy. I feel good and bad for you, brother, at the exact same time. But don't worry, there's more.
Oh, there always is.
So that's all I can say about that. I don't know if I might have said too much, but
He said too much. He gave away the Lord.
That really is the okay, that is very Mormon apostle too, where they'll do kind of a similar thing. They're like, I was always in the temple. So they'll be like, I was in the temple and I had this feeling of peace. And then I had a great vision. I can't tell you what was in the vision because it was made known to me that people can't hear it. And I don't even know if God wanted me to tell you that, but just know I've had a vision. Same thing.
Azrael, what's up? Oh, Lindsay, what you just said was literally prophetic because you literally stole words from the second video. We'll get to that in a minute, though. Because
I'm telling you, I'm working too hard. I should just be a prophet.
You literally stole words from Hank Kuhneman in the next video. But
I don't know who that is, but I should be a prophet. Dutch. I want to be the prophet of Dig on America.
Oh, you know who it is. You believe when you see it, you'll know who it is.
Okay.
I've said it now. Lord, make it work. Now would you listen to this in Genesis 2 now? A mystery is being revealed. Okay. Genesis 2 verse 2, and on the seventh day, God ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. I want you to underline that in your Bible where it said he rested on the seventh day. Then in verse 3, it says, and God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it because that in it he had rested from all his work which God created and made. So in verse 2, he said he rested on it. And verse 3, he said he rested in it.
Sounds like a contradiction.
Yeah. Sounds like different versions being pulled together by a Sephardic society.
So I'm going to skip forward a minute here because he goes into complete incoherent nonsense.
Oh, do we get tongues?
Yeah, I think you do. But I'm going to skip by that because I don't want to possess our listeners.
Clean. Tomorrow is pure.
Oh, hold on. I was supposed to go to 21, not 22. Here we go.
Jeez, Dutch.
This is really, really profound stuff, guys. So get ready.
Oh, so excited.
But it was a prophetic worship. So Jesus is telling you, don't take any thought for tomorrow. You don't have to think about tomorrow. Tomorrow has got its own thoughts.
Right.
He said it's in the present that evil is trying to seize the day.
That's you and me, Lindsay.
Like the Newsies.
So tomorrow,
let us seize the day.
Is thinking about the plans and the will of God all the time.
Right.
And tomorrow is a perfect place. See, there's no sin.
This is the plot of the movie Up, by the way. Remember Up, the movie? This is like the plot, Off to Tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
I think he stole it from this. But he's basically saying that everything that he'll say will come true tomorrow. But since tomorrow will never be here,
you just have to keep paying him.
Yeah, it's all making sense now.
I got it. That's a great way to keep the money rolling, to be honest.
There's more.
Okay,
and then tomorrow, because you and I are not there yet.
Nor will you ever be.
So tomorrow is clean. Tomorrow is pure. Oh, if you just hear what I'm telling you, man, we cannot keep thinking the way we thought on this side of the page when God has already turned the page and we're on this side now. And you can't keep thinking the way we used to think because it'll just bring us back to the place we're in now.
What? The fuck is he talking?
It doesn't mean anything.
This is and this is the beautiful part about this. Later he'll just go and start talking about how something will happen and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, I totally called that. Go back and listen to this tape." And they'll be like, "Oh yeah, they said this was going to happen tomorrow." But tomorrow's always tomorrow. Every day there's a tomorrow that's tomorrow, so he's always called tomorrow's prophecy.
Oh my God.
And you hear the crowd like,
oh, they really loved the thought of tomorrow. The future. What?
So we have to start thinking like he thinks. He said, I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you, plans to give you an expected end. He said, I know these plans. Where are they at, God? In your future, in your tomorrow. They're in tomorrow, and tomorrow is already thinking about your future.
Is
Tomorrow's
tomorrow
already
cognizant?
got it in its mind where God, it already knows the plan that God wants you to arrive at.
What?
And tomorrow is set to receive you.
I don't know about you, but none of this makes any sense.
No, tomorrow's not cognizant. Nothing he said has made any sense though. He told us a story with no plot, and now he's like, tomorrow's ready. Tomorrow's pure, but it's ready, and you got to be ready, and you'll never be there. But that's cool. And Jesus.
But
Ta-da.
anyway, I think this was the last piece I want to play from this.
In today, they try and sneak up on the future. Ha! The Lord says. What folly. What futileness. In vain the snare is laid in the side.
I think it was here, actually. I'll try this over.
Yes, among other things, he laughs at wickedness and their feeble attempt, or the world's feeble attempt, at the feeble attempt of
He's
evil
having a trouble
men
reading it.
in today. They try and sneak up on the future.
I'm sneaking up on the
Ha! The Lord says. What folly. What futileness. In vain the snare is laid in the side of any bird. For I see every snare laid, says the Lord.
This guy can't even barely even read.
None of that made sense. I feel like it would have made more sense if I'd been on drugs, to be honest.
All right.
Like, I feel like that would have made sense.
I'm going to play a little bit more of so this was Victory Channel. This was also yesterday. Are you aware what's going on in Ashbury?
Oh yeah, this is where they're praying for like weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, right?
Yeah. So they're losing their minds about this. So I'm going to skip through a little bit of this too, but Hank Kunneman is going to literally give us a new prophet, or he's not going to give us a new prophecy. He's going to tell us how he prophesied everything over the course of the last month.
Fantastic.
And I just want you to see what his evidence is.
My prayer, we started talking about this on the show the other day. My prayer, Hank, is that the prophetic quality of what God is doing leaps from the 100 and so churches that are Bible colleges, that are charismatic, that'll easily tap into this Asbury revival. I pray it crosses into the secular universities.
Amen.
Oh, please.
Right.
Yeah.
I pray
Please.
it moves on the soft shoulders of Levites through the halls of Yale and into Harvard Yard. And
do Levites have like soft shoulders? Is that like people are like, oh my God, they have such soft shoulders?
Reading and writing are not a requirement of Christian right. Come on, you know this. That's true. You don't have to know how to read and write.
And
Or
God
tell a
raises
story,
up-
apparently.
Oh, this one's almost worse than the last one, and that last one was terrible. I mean, it's almost incoherent. But this guy's a multimillionaire. People just flock to him wherever he goes.
Up out of the frat houses, wild young men like the ones that we're hearing here that are older now, that will stand up in the pub and start preaching the gospel of Jesus.
Note that Mike Lindell is there.
Oh, that's how you know it's good.
Yeah, he said that that Ashbury is gonna spill over into the frat houses, and wild young men will just start preaching in the streets.
Perfect.
Sounds like a party, a bad party,
Perfect.
one that I won't.
Yeah.
A frat party I won't go to.
No, that sounds like that's when you know the night's gone too far and everyone's gonna be like, okay, I'm just gonna go now.
Oh, there's more.
We need some Whitfields. We need some Wesleys. We need some Jonathan Edwards. We need some young.
John Edwards, the former vice presidential candidate.
No, I think wasn't there like a revivalist guy?
Probably.
Like
There's
in revolutionary times. Wasn't he the black robe preacher guy?
I don't remember. I know most of those guys. I don't remember that name, but maybe
I think there was somebody
Anyway.
like Revolutionary Times.
John Edwards. Yeah, come for us, John.
Maria Woodworth editors. We need to see, and Donald Trump said this. He tapped the coffin of Billy Graham when Billy Graham was laying there in the Capitol. And nobody wanted to hear him say this, but the man that God
Including
raised up to be
Franklin
the
Graham.
president tapped that coffin 5 times.
Not 4, mind you.
And he said, may God raise up a new generation of young Billy Grahams, male and female, to take the place.
I don't actually believe Trump did that.
That is an aged crowd. I think that's a pretty good picture of Christianity in this country, to be honest.
That's a sad thing. Pastor Gene's gonna say something here.
Used as a
Oh, good.
textbook. He didn't write it this way, but there's a book. I don't know if it's out there on the tables. Throne Room Prophecy.
You should know because it's a book of prophecy, so you should know if it's there.
If you
He
guys
doesn't
brought
know.
it with you, but if you look it up, they say there's some on the table there. Throne Room Prophecy by Pastor Hank Kuhneman
Only $99.99 each.
is an amazing book, and he doesn't know I was going to talk about this. But in
How did he not know he's a prophet?
this season, Pastor Hank, in this time, we're hearing words and stuff saying all over, saying every possible scenario, and we're all looking for a word. Now, I'm not putting you on a spot for a word, but I'm asking you, Pastor Hank, lead us through this time.
Now they believe Pastor Hank is a prophet, by the way. So
Do
Just
they
context.
really believe that?
oh yeah, like big time.
My God.
And here's where he proves his case.
And whatever God's got for you to say.
As I was sitting here in this moment, just listening to everything that's happening, the most important thing that we have to understand, whether it's God, what is happening in a crazy economy, governments that are out of control, the state of the church, the state of the union, the most important thing, we're crying out for revival, is the heart of God. How does God feel about things? What is on the heart, mind, will, intent of God himself? Because true prophets and true prophecy should always come from the place that God had to clarify when Moses was being attacked by Miriam and Aaron, which represents, sometimes the body of Christ and how they view prophets or whatever. And God said, if there be a prophet among you, I will speak to that prophet in visions and dreams. But my servant Moses, watch this. There's another level. And it's the key for every revival.
Nice
Pastor,
pocket
you know
protector,
this.
by the way.
And that is, he said, I will speak to that Moses face to face. In other words, there's a realm of intimacy. I will speak secrets and things that, people often say to me, well, Pastor Hank, what is God saying? And I have to say to them, he's saying a lot, but he's not giving me the freedom to speak it because some things are secret.
Yes. It's always, they can't quite tell you. They tell the prophets so many things, but the prophets can't tell you. So, are they useful at all?
Does this God pay taxes? Says Kruger.
I know. Yeah. Churches are some of the biggest scammers in the world. Yeah. On God. It's accurate. Dead ass.
Some prophetic stuff. TB cookies.
Yeah,
We're
TV
having
cookies.
some fun.
We're watching a prophet, and God told him all this shit, so many things, but he can't tell us. So, to be honest, that sounds like a terrible prophet. If you have a messenger, get you a messenger who can say the shit you're telling them, right? Yes? I don't know.
Well, here's where in a minute he's going to, I think it's within the next 90 seconds, he's going to tell us all the stuff that God told him before that now he can tell us.
Oh, good. That Trump was going to run for president
in
again?
a place of intimacy, just like those of you
Perfect.
that are married, there's certain things that stay between you and your loved one that you don't share because it's in the moment of intimacy. It's the same way with God. When his heart is revealed, not everything is meant to be so that it can reach the multitude so that they're somehow encouraged. So I say this
Convenient.
because God is wanting to
that's-
communicate his heart right now.
And one of the things that we have to understand is for years, Pastor Gene, I just wrote down a few prophecies that I just want to share. May I share with you that I think will encourage you and those of you that are watching?
Oh, no, please don't.
Is God's been prophesying. He prophesied derailments. How many of you track our ministry? Remember when he said it? He said derailments will happen, and this will be a planned thing. So I think it's going to come out. And he said it's going to reveal that I'm going to derail the agenda of the enemy. He talked about look to the skies.
Derail,
strange objects, strange things that will float through your skies. Do not fear. Well, we saw a balloon. He talked about classified documents would become unclassified. He's been prophesying that since about 2012. He talked about Supreme Court rulings that would hit our nation, 8-1, 7-2, 6-3. How many saw that? Because it would be a sign that we're going to win.
And,
Okay.
Everybody's shaking their head, I bet, in the congregation like this. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
we
So wait,
remember that.
these are the like super secret, intimate things that God told him that he couldn't say until actually it happened.
Right.
These don't sound like intimate, secret things. These sound like things that you waited till they happened. And you're like, God totally told me that on June 22nd. I can only tell you now because it actually happened. So
he's accidentally gonna give away one here in a second, which we get to call him on. But hold on.
Yes. Oh, hey,
He
Pat
talked about
Shelfate.
Roe versus
Hey.
Wade, 2000.
Oh,
We're
he talked
listening
about
to a
Roe versus-
prophet. Prophecies. They're so useful.
Perk your ears up.
I'm ready.
Perk your ears up, Kruger, and everyone in the chat. Perk those ears up.
2004, 2005 would be overturned. He talked about
They've been saying that since 1960. So shut up.
Netanyahu would return. We had hate mail for 5 years. Netanyahu has returned. But let me tell you, the same prophecy said there are two anointings that I've placed upon the earth, and they rest upon two men. One is Netanyahu. The other is President Trump. So if one has been established, why would God change his mind about the other? He talked about...
Okay, that's enough of that.
That was so
he said
good.
the quiet part out loud. Trump will be back. He just called it.
Yeah. So, I mean, only a few months after Trump himself announced that he would be back. Yes, past shelf date. Oh, this is the comment. Any Xmas in the comments will know. Oh, is this like how Joseph Smith, quote, predicted the Civil War 3 times when everyone else was also predicting it? Yes, that was like growing up. That was constantly something they used to show that Joseph Smith was a prophet. They're like, yeah, Joseph Smith predicted the Civil War, and who could have done that? So obviously he's a prophet. And then when you look back at like what he said, and in the time for like stuff happening in Illinois and Missouri, like they were right in the thick of it. All of the newspapers of that time were like, are we going to have a war? Is there going to be a war? So if you just have somebody like that thing, it's exactly like that. That would be like if in 100 years they're like, well, this guy talked about balloons in the sky and there was a balloon in the sky. So obviously prophet, checkmate atheists. So
yeah, and I have an atheist joke. Can I segue with an atheist joke? I was going to tell this joke to Mikey the other day and I totally forgot. Jehovah's Witnesses have, Jehovah has his witnesses and the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
If we had, they walk around, they knock on your door and they tell you about Jehovah. Can we have some atheist witnesses?
Sure.
Can you imagine the atheist witnesses? They come knock on your door. Yes. Oh, nothing.
I like to testify to you about science and how biology works, geology, chemistry. Are you open to hearing how the major sciences work and affect your life?
We do need some atheist witnesses. Past shelf, Bill says, I wish I could find the 3 dated statements, the Doctrine of the Covenants. That was good.
Yeah, that's
nothing. I spelled this wrong. You're the only one who got the joke. Nobody else got the joke except I spelled this wrong. The atheists would say, oh, no. What do you want? Nothing.
Nothing.
Oh man. Okay. So somebody sent us Kruger sent us a clip. He says that we should watch.
Okay.
I'm
excited. It's going to be good.
All right. So how do I hold on a second here? How do I get this? I'm gonna have to type it in. I have to do this the long way.
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
so
theists,
YouTube.
TV cookies, you're right. Theists have that missionary zeal where they feel like, I even think it's to justify your position being correct, you have to get other people to believe like you do. Because from being, I mean, I was raised Mormon. Mormons love missionaries. They love telling everybody about what they believe. And part of it is it justifies your belief if you can get other people to also believe it and like reconfirm that to you. And then when you stop believing it, you're like, oh, everybody's doing their own thing. I don't care what other people believe. Well, not initially. When you're first leaving Mormonism, you still have that missionary zeal. So you want to tell everyone about what a shyster Joseph Smith was.
Oh, Joseph Smith. He's one of the great ones. That's for sure. All right, I'm going to try to play this video that our listener just sent us. Let's see if it pops up. Oh, it says that page is not available. Hold on one sec. Maybe I might be able to do it in here. I'll get it. Hold on, buddy.
We're going to get this done.
Yeah, I just have to. Unfortunately the chat that we use here does not allow me to.
Yeah, you can't just link stuff. It's
it doesn't allow me to just copy paste it. So let me do this real quick.
Are we both atheists? I don't think Dutch identifies as atheist. I am atheist. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm agnostic. I don't really see much difference between agnostic and atheist, to be honest with you. But you want to be an atheist, you're an atheist. My issue is more for me, it's more about anti-religion than anything else. Okay, I think I just popped it to the top of my YouTube. So let's go into YouTube here and do this. Sorry about having to do that the long way, guys.
No, that's totally great.
But it's just the way that it goes. All right, so library history. Here we go. Okay. This is from one of our listeners.
All right, let's see. We're taking a gamble on you.
If it goes poorly, just remember that.
I prophesied that it's going to be pretty good.
All right, this is What's Donald Gonna Do Today by Kevin Bloody Wilson.
World's most watched reality TV show, live from Washington, with a walk-on cast of thousands, starring Donald Trump. It's political, but it's not PC. There's drama, conflict, lust, head-butting, butt-kicking twists and turns, and lots of what the fuck? What's Donald gonna do today? Are we doomed or are we safe? First thing I read is Donald's tweet. What's Donald gonna do today? Then I turn the TV on.
Dry bone shake.
Is he pissed off or is he okay? What's Donald gonna do today? Oh, Donald. Oh, Donald.
Oh, they got that crowd synced up.
Oh, Donald. What's Donald gonna do today?
Oh,
Okay,
here we go. This is about to be the best part. Woo, let's go.
I have to pause it a sec for the YouTube algorithms so we don't get our channel shut down.
Oh, okay. I was all
All right.
ready. Here comes the animation.
Here we go.
He's a cross between Homer Simpson and good old Fred Flintstone. Don't need no help from no one. Fix this shit all on his own. Wants to build a wall to keep them Mexicans out. He reckons that's a great idea. Chinese built a wall centuries ago. Ain't many Mexicans over there. What's Donald gonna do today? Are we doomed or are we safe?
Okay. I don't want to play too much more of this because we might get taken down. I don't know.
Kruger, that was really funny. Thank you.
I don't know if that's licensed material or not. Twitch does not care about that stuff. Like I could play this stuff on Twitch all day, but when you put it on YouTube, you have to be a little bit
A little careful.
Yeah, they're very. Here's the funny thing about YouTube: they're very quick to ban the left. Like,
oh yeah, super fast.
Yeah, I mean, you can be Matt Walsh or Steven Crowder, say whatever the fuck you want, cry about cancel culture.
Oh yeah.
We have the same amount of strikes. Literally, Dig on America has the same amount of strikes since 2019 as Steven Crowder does. 3.
I was gonna say, well, like Andrew Tate's stuff was up there forever, and he was advocating like vile shit, and like there was only when there was huge outcry that they finally pulled his stuff. But there's all kinds of right wing stuff. I mean, anti-vax stuff was up for years, like verifiably, absolutely batshit crazy stuff up for years, and they didn't pull it. They didn't, and they would post video after video after video. They didn't care.
So TB Cookies, with all due respect, I tire of the atheist debate. I really do. Like it's to me, it's like, it's irrelevant. There's no evidence of God transcendent in the world. So for me to say there is one would be lunacy. But for me to say something I can't possibly know to be true or not, to be false or true, makes no difference to my to my life or anyone else's life. The only thing that's important is humans, right? People's lives are what's important.
TV Cookies, catch like Mikey and I sometimes. We talk about atheism more.
But it's like, it's, to me, it's an unimportant conversation. You know, and I know Mikey gets upset about it too. It's like, oh, but you have to be an atheist. No, I mean, it's, who cares? It's unimportant. Because the only thing that matters is religion. Whether or not God exists or not has nothing to do with religion, because God cannot be the object of every religion. So at most, only one religion could be right, which means you have tens of thousands of ones that are wrong and influencing people's lives in negative ways. And that's the part that you have to, that is tangible, and that is right in front of me. And that is what I have a problem with. You know, and if God is real, then he can come down and fix it. And until he does, then that's fine. You know, and like, but like, it's a, I don't know. Am I wrong? Like, it seems to me like it's a silly thing for, like, Christians and atheists both get upset at me about this, because I'm like, I'm not going to get involved in that debate. Like, you guys can, atheists and Christians can fight about that shit. I'm not, I care about religion's impact on people's lives.
I think I side more with TV Cookies. I don't care to fight about it, because what we've had episodes where we talk about it, but yeah. I do agree with TV Cookies that I think making a statement about the position that there isn't evidence for a God, and I think the issue is, I think you guys are sort of talking past each other or saying the same thing, just in different ways, different perspectives.
I think his last comment is very similar to what my comment was.
Yes. And that, yeah. I think the problem is so many of the issues in our country right now are caused by people perpetuating their religious beliefs and wanting everyone else to adhere to their religion. Like Christian nationalism right now, absolute plague on our country. But I do think taking a stand against that as an atheist is important, just because there's so much distrust and dislike of atheism still to this day. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Religiously, nuns, huge. It's constantly rising. Like, I think, isn't it like something like fully half of, Gen Z doesn't believe in any God? They're nuns. But like, atheists are one of the most distrusted groups in the country. Like, people do not want to vote for atheists in office. They don't, they take a very hard stance against that, when atheism is they would rather vote Christian nationalists than atheists, when atheists are saying, like, do whatever you want. And so I think having that conversation and standing up and saying, like, no, like, logically, these are the reasons why, whatever you believe, it should not be impacting public policy. And there is a strong case to be made that these are the reasons why we don't believe in God, and that is totally rational and okay, and actually makes way more sense than religion does.
Yeah.
And so
just real quick, for those of you who are listening on the Dutch Jason channel, this particular commenter is coming in on the Dig on America channel, so you can't see the comment. So I'll put this is going to 2 Twitch channels right now.
Okay, here I can read it.
Yeah, so I'll let you read the comment.
Okay. To the extent that someone's belief in God motivates them to do egregious things, it seems especially important. That's all I'm saying. And I agree. I think Dutch,
I don't
what you're trying
disagree
to
with
say
that
is
statement at all.
no. That's what I say is I think you were trying to say like we need to focus on the impact on actual humanity. I do think that morally I have to take that stand as an atheist because it is a statement of belief, just like Christians.
Right. Well, the next comment here is, and it says, TBH Cookie says, and we appreciate the comment. I suppose a major issue here is that many theists think morality is incompatible with atheism. I don't believe that. In fact, the idea that morality is specific to adherence to any belief, religious belief system is stupid, because most religious belief systems and a-religious belief systems have very similar morals. In fact, I would argue that religious belief systems are more immoral than atheist belief systems.
Yeah, but I agree. Like that's why I am pretty loud about my atheism, because I mean, especially a lot of political figures in this country, in my state, even in the world, talk about how, well, if you're atheist, you can't be moral, you can't be a good parent, you can't be a good citizen, you can't be all of these things. And so we need examples of people who are openly atheist, proudly atheist.
Sure. Yeah.
Active in our communities, active in government, active in all these positions, because like you said, yeah, no, I don't want to force my belief system on other people. I don't want to turn the government into a theocracy. I think in a lot of ways, well, obviously because it's my belief system, that atheism is morally superior to a lot of the theistic religions that we see today and how they're practiced today in our country.
Yeah. I'll let you read. I didn't read this. Well, I'll let you read a couple of comments here. I'll put Bill's up next.
All right. Israel said, most religious people just can't get over the idea that we as a species have moved past the need for theology. We may indeed have needed religion in order to progress 3,000 years ago, but now we've evolved. I agree. I think, unfortunately, our brain is kind of wired to want religion. We want to, we don't want to think about our own deaths or the existential crises that come with that. But we don't need that. Countries with low religiosity do very well and score high on happiness, economic success, like morality. We don't need it. I agree. We've evolved past it. And
one last from Bill.
One more. Past shelf date says morality rises just as reliably from evolution, given the trust is vital for the community and humans are social animals. I agree. See, it serves a purpose, and it served a purpose in our society, and now it serves less of a purpose and is more of a tool and a weapon of compliance.
Yeah, and Kruger, I see your comment too. The thing for me is this, like, I don't believe that a Christian or a Buddhist, well, Buddhism doesn't really have a God, but per se, or a Muslim or a Hindu or a Sikh can prove the existence of their God. An atheist can't prove the non-existence of the God. They can probably say, well, there's no tangible evidence of it, so I choose not to believe in it. And that's a super fair statement. But the idea is that it's something that you can't believe in. But the impact of religion is going to withstand whether or not there is a God. Like, religion is true. So if there is no God, guess what? We still have religion. And if there is one, then we have religion, but it's kind of his fault for not giving us the direction on where.
Have you seen these prophets though? Like, morons, absolute morons. I wanted to address this one. Past shelf date said, Lindsay, given that all the disagreements among Christians and Mormons and J-dubs over what the Bible says, I don't think all of them can be broad brushed as all good or all bad. I wasn't trying to do that, but overall, religious groups are trying to push their religion and their belief system on all of us. Like,
Right.
specifically Christian groups in this country. And so you're right. Mormons and different Christian groups, evangelicals, Baptists, and J-dubs all interpret the Bible differently. But Mormons in Utah push the government to act a very specific way. And Mormons in Idaho and the government do the same thing. And evangelicals in the government do the same thing. And so they are all pushing their beliefs. And that's why Roe v. Wade got overturned. That's why they're trying to get rid of, all the abortion medications in the country, this abortion medication in the whole country. That's why, like, the evangelicals in Idaho want to get rid of no-fault divorce. Like, they're trying to get rid of healthcare for trans kids. That's the thing. There are no atheist legislators trying to push atheism on anybody. And there's a lot of non-theistic religious groups who also aren't trying to push their religion on anybody. And even, I would say, groups like Muslims in this country are not pushing their religion on anybody. But I will paint Christians with a broad brush because Christians have, with broad brushes, made major changes to my bodily autonomy in this country and our rights in this country. And so I don't think that's wrong to do at this point.
No, I totally agree with you. It's if we lived in Saudi Arabia, we might have more smoke for Islam.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And I have a lot of smoke for Islam. I have a lot of smoke for Christianity. But here's the thing. In this particular country, adherents to Islam, Muslims, are basically an extremely oppressed group, a very distrusted group. So I advocate for them, even though I think their belief system is ludicrous.
Yeah, I disagree. I disagree with their belief system, but of course they can absolutely practice it. I think everyone should. And that's the thing is, Pash update, I don't think all Christians are the evangelicals or the Mormons or the J-dubs or the Baptists. I don't. But the group that is wreaking havoc on this country is Christian.
And
so
specifically.
when I say I'm having issues with, because it's evangelical, it's Mormon, there's different Protestant groups. Like it's not just one group, it's lots of different groups within the banner of Christianity. And so it's not all Christianity, but like if it doesn't hit, let it fly. Like I'm not talking about all Christians. I know lots of Christians that are standing up against what is happening. And so if it doesn't apply, I wasn't talking about your brand of Christianity, but there are Christians who are doing this. And so that would be like white women vote for shit. Like in this country, unreliable, vote against their best interests all the time. Will they be the group that disappoints every election? Abso-fucking-lutely. Mm-hmm. So when people call out white suburban women voters, yeah, absolutely. I agree. I don't take offense because it's not me. I'm doing the best I can. I can't be all the white suburban voters, but I also agree they're fucking things up. They absolutely are.
And the other thing to the it's not all Christians debate, though, we're all kind of push back on that a little bit is there. Well, two things. One, there are a few who are speaking out. They're generally shunned, and that should tell you something. Mm-hmm. And we need to find a way to help amplify those voices, because those voices in a way are allied, but they're still generally agreeing with some of the bad stuff. And, but again, moving past the people who are the voices, which I just said, as we need to help amplify those voices within that community. But the vast majority are guilty of silence through complicity through silence.
Yeah, I agree with
right.
that.
And it's the same as like the person sitting next to somebody at the bar when somebody tells a joke with the N-word or about Mexicans or whatever, or about LGBTQ people. And you can't just sit there at the bar anymore and just say, oh, it's just a joke. No, you just look, dude, I'm sitting next to you at this bar. I don't know you, motherfucker. You want to tell your bullshit jokes, go over there, because I'm not fucking interested in what your words are and invading my space. You know what I mean? So of course that'll start a fight, and I don't care. I don't care. You know, well, it's a free country. I can say whatever I want. Great. Me too. And this is what I'm saying. So fuck off.
Exactly. Like a great example is we have that pastor in Boise, Joe Jones, who has said again and again, like totally egregious shit. But he has constantly said that LGBTQ people should be put to death. That is his stance. That is where he's at.
Is that Shield?
Yeah, Shield of Faith Baptist Church.
Yeah.
And he's made national news over that. And so we like, there was groups of us in the community who took a stand, and we asked other religious groups, like, hey, please take a stand with us. Like, we don't assume this is what all Christians believe, but please, like, take a stand that we don't want this hate in our community. And we had like 2 churches. Like, actually, one of them was a church right across the street. They were lovely. But we had 2 churches stand up, and most of the rest completely silent, absolutely silent. Like, this pastor called for a local rabbi to be just like taken out of the city. And he said terrible things about this rabbi. No, like, those 2 churches were like, hey, again, we disavow what he's saying. Nobody else would say anything. And they still to this day refuse to say anything or stand up. Like, we tried to form this interfaith coalition. We tried to do all these. Nobody was interested. And so my issue is, it's not all Christians, but I struggle to find the ones who are willing to stand up.
Yeah, me too. And like, it's, and Bill, I get your comment where you say most people are just tired. I don't care, because I'm just tired is the same thing that happened after the civil rights movement, you know, and during Reconstruction. The people, the northern states got tired of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, after the civil rights movement, and then you get into the Watts riots, people were like, oh, okay, well, I'm tired of it now. You know, and they got into the 1970s with the Black Panthers. Oh, I'm just tired of it now. I'm not going to, you know, I'm not going to continue to fight for this. Now they're on their own, you know, and it's like, it's not exactly the same, but the mentality is the same, where it's like, oh, well, I'm just so tired of, I've got my own life to live. That's fine. But if somebody says something to you that is agreed in front of you, that's egregious and untrue, I'm just tired is not going to push the social, it's not pushing the movement forward. You know, it's not moving the needle, so to speak. And that is why we continue to live in a society that is ass fuck backwards, because too many people are just too tired. They don't want to be involved. They're too worried about what's happening in their own backyard. And more people need to pay attention to what's happening outside of the fences in their yard. And that's difficult. It can be, it can be exhausting. It can cost you relationships. I totally understand that. But for the sake of future generations, you know, you have to start the ripple effect somewhere, you know. And I'm 48 years old. I probably spent 40 years being too, you know, okay, whatever. I'm just not going to, you know, I'm not going to stir the pot. And then I realized one day, I was like, you know what? I'm not stirring the pot. They're stirring the pot. I need to stop the stirring, because this is bullshit. And people's lives are being impacted. Women's rights are being impacted. Votes for people, you know, the voting rights for people of color are being impacted. You know, children are being impacted, you know, by being brought up in faith-based systems. I mean, I would be an advocate of saying that, you know, all these Christians want to run around and say, oh, well, we shouldn't be exposed to, you know, LGBTQ agenda until they're 18 years old or whatever. They're not ready for it yet. Great. Then I'll agree to that as soon as you agree to teaching kids religion once they're 18.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll totally support your effort as soon as you agree to that. Let's outlaw talking to kids about religion.
Yeah. And it's, I get what you're saying past shelf date, but like what I'm seeing is like, we just had that bill. It's going to pass in Idaho that bans all healthcare for trans kids, all healthcare. And we had on the side that wants to ban it, religious people get up and say, I am a Christian. I am doing this for my God. Like people talked about their relationship with Christ again and again and again and again. And on the side, trying to stand up for trans kids, not one person said it was because of Christianity. And so I get what you're saying. And also, like, boots on the ground, where are those Christians? Because they don't show up. Like, they don't show up. And so, like, Flag Dad in Idaho, he shows up. He is Christian. He shows up for all of this stuff. But like, he's one guy. And so I'm not saying it's all Christians. I'm saying, though, they aren't showing up. And so the Christians who say that it's not them, I don't know where they are, because they aren't in Idaho defending trans kids or women's rights or like all of the rights of 18-year-olds to vote, like all of these things that were no fault divorces, all these things we're losing. The side that is perpetuating it is using their religion to perpetuate it and to build a following around it. And I don't hear any Christians saying anything against it. And so if that doesn't apply to you, if you are talking to your legislature, if you are standing up for trans kids, if you are fighting for reproductive rights, if you then great. Then this didn't apply to you. But what I'm saying is, what I'm seeing is Christianity being used as a weapon to hurt the most vulnerable in our society, take rights away from women, from trans people, from LGBTQ people. And they always fall back on their Christianity. And so that is what I'm seeing. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm experiencing. And so that is my interaction that I'm having with Christians.
Yeah. And it's not all that different from what mine is. It's like, I see way too many people just nodding their head and, moving forward because, they're, and sometimes I guess it's because they're not really they might say, well, it feels wrong, but I've trusted the church my whole life. And, so they must be, they've grown up believing that the church was always at the forefront of good. So it's hard for them to believe that the church could be at the forefront of bad. And I get that, but, go ahead.
Or it's their community. And so I've had Mormons, Christians say like, well, but it's my community. And so I still benefit from my membership with them, which that's a very human thing. That's a very human thing.
Sure.
And they are choosing their comfort and their ability to feel like they are part of an in-group over the most vulnerable in our society. And I can't respect that. I just can't. I can't.
And the one thing I will say is, like, obviously, if speaking up is going to cost you your job or cause harm to come to you, then maybe I'll sign a waiver, but generally I don't think that's the case. I think 90% of these interactions take place in circles where you're perfectly fine with saying something. You know what I mean? And like one of the things that I tried to do, and it didn't particularly work. So I don't know if I'm just spitting into the wind at this point, but I was like, well, I'm going to engage the church personally. I started going to a Bible study, a men's Bible study, and combating their ideas directly, while pretending to be a deep, more of a planted seed in the community than I really was. And also to kind of put my ear on the tracks a little bit. And like, there was a couple of people who I think might have had their eyes open a little bit, but the vast majority of them weren't willing to even engage in the conversation. You know what I mean? It's like, and like, I've played this game before with Mikey. It's not really a game, but like Mikey makes, and I'm sure Lindsay, you do the same, I just haven't heard you do it. But like Mikey will make very salient arguments when it comes to, very rational, logical, deductive arguments when it comes to his beliefs, his atheist beliefs and stuff like that. But none of what he says is going to, at least to my eye, resonate with the religious community, because they always have a get out of jail free card, as in like, oh, but you don't know the mind of God, or you're just deceived, or whatever,
I've had my experiences with God, or
you can't know what I know. Like that sort of thing. And it's like, they always have this plausible deniability, or this get out of jail free card, or this, you just don't understand type of thing, or, like, oh, don't you remember this great thing that happened to you? You're going to say that wasn't God. Like my mom said it about my trip here. Oh, you didn't get one drop of rain? That must've been God. Or it was weather.
Mm-hmm.
It was or was not going to rain in those places, regardless of whether or not I drove through them at that time.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's happenstance, right? Like it's not like I believe that God put a shield over my car.
He had a big old fat umbrella in the sky, but that one pastor didn't pull it down. So maybe it's one of those giant evil spirits over New York.
And like when I was driving through Iowa, apparently I had missed a snowstorm by maybe a day or so. I easily drove past. There was 2 tractor trailers that went off the road that were flipped over that I drove by, and probably 8 cars. Well, I guess they didn't have the umbrella. God didn't bother to give them the umbrella.
No.
Azrael says, I love when they use personal experience, because personal experience also brings about personal bias. Yep. I totally get that. If your moral beliefs, TB says, are in logical tensions with your religious ones, you're forced to make a choice. Many theists feel more compelled to choose religion whenever this conflict occurs, because they believe their eternal souls are at stake. Yeah. And I mean, I understand that people believe that, but like, again, like I want to say it doesn't matter. I realize it does, but to me, it's more of a combating religion, especially Christian religion, because we happen to live in this country. Not necessarily trying to engage in the let's have a debate whether or not God exists. I'm more interested in the what's and whys of what's impacting Americans and marginalized groups, frankly. So, but I'm one idiot sitting in his mom's basement right now. I'm like literally Will Ferrell.
You're literally in your mom's basement.
I'm literally in my mom's basement. Like what movie is that where Will Ferrell's yelling up, "Mom, make us some tacos"?
Oh yeah, isn't it the Step Brothers?
Yeah, Step Brothers. Or what is it? Step Brothers? No, it's not that one. It's I don't think it's Step Brothers. Step Brothers is where he's front. Did we just become best friends with John C. Reilly?
Yeah. Is it not that one?
What movie is it where he's sitting? Somebody in the chat's got to help us out. Where they go and they see Will Ferrell, and then he's like, "Mom, heat up the meatloaf," or something like that. I can't remember. That's literally
Jesse,
me right now.
Popping in from Canada. How's all that freedom and healthcare? How's that going? Reproductive rights. Woo!
Old school. Yes, thank you. No. Is it old school? Is that the beginning of old school? No, it's not, because in old school, no, it's not old school. In old school, he's married. He gets it. So it's, man, I can't think what movie that is. But anyway, it's going to bug me for days now, but it's not old school shit. But yeah, that's me. I'm just chilling in mom's basement at the moment.
They're privatizing healthcare in Ontario. I know, you guys, I'm so sorry.
They're privatizing healthcare in Ontario.
They really want to. Their hospital systems are doing what they're doing in the United States too, which is just kind of a mess. And they've got that provincial leader over there who's a psycho. We tentatively looked at moving to Ontario, and then we were like, nope. Like that's as bad as it is here almost.
I heard maybe Jesse has heard about this. Like I heard about this on Twitter Spaces 6 months ago. But I had just happened to go into a Twitter space. We might have talked about this briefly, of a lot of people from Alberta who were literally talking about a movement to have Alberta secede from Canada
Mhm.
and ultimately join the United States.
Yeah, they've talked.
So-
Yeah, because there's a lot of like MAGA folk over there.
Big time.
Wow.
But oddly, one of the things that they were saying was, yeah, I'd love to join America, but healthcare, we need to bring our health. We have to be able to like be grandfathered into our healthcare system. And everybody's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
How will that
Hmm.
fly in Republican circles here in this
It
country?
won't, because they're like right above like Montana and maybe a little bit of Idaho. So it's not. No. Welcome to the Redoubt. You get nothing.
The Redoubt.
Yeah. You're right. Cannabis is legal in Canada. It's also legal in a lot of the United States, just not where I live, because I live in hell.
You can go. You're not that far from the border, though, are you? Can't you get it in Oregon?
No. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's in Oregon. Oh, there's a little town called Ontario right next to Idaho. We are fully like, it's a boom town because Idaho is spending millions of dollars.
The new Vegas.
Buying. Yeah, it is buying cannabis. They're going to open an abortion clinic there in like 6 months. Like you can go, you get your weed, you get your cannabis, no sales tax. Like it's heaven over there.
Yeah, that's actually a really smart thing to do. We should open up like a weed abortion, like you know how you got like the Taco Bell, KFC.
Yeah, get your weed, get your abortion, pop over there. Yeah, Azrael, we were talking about. See, this was so topical. I'm too quick on the draw. Azrael brought up, yes, Greater Idaho. So Eastern Oregon wants to join Idaho, and one legislator, this was great. She's not bright. We're not sending our best. Anyway, she was like, we need to do Greater Idaho because it will get the drugs further away from us, because she doesn't know how proximity works. And it's kind of like the Alberta thing. I'm like, Eastern Oregon, do you know that weed will not be legal? So none of the weed, you will have sales tax, and your property taxes will actually go up. So I don't know. I don't know if they thought this all the way through.
I don't know either. Are we at ASMR time?
I think it is almost. Wait, so Lindsay, I had an ADD moment. Where did you say all the helpful stuff is? In Ontario, Oregon? Like the weed and the abortions, that helpful stuff?
Bill, are you in Idaho? Does anyone know why cannabis was illegal for so long? There was a lot of reasons why.
The war on drugs.
From the stories that I've heard, is it started with the paper companies, because the paper companies in the United States, the paper magnates, they've known for a while. They knew for a while that marijuana, was a something that could get you high. And they were like, oh, well, hemp paper is a lot better than the stuff that we use. So they used the intoxicating nature of the marijuana plant to ban the growing of hemp, to stifle the hemp paper companies. I know that was part of the origins of it, though. A lot of it also then ramped up during the war on drugs, and then they classified marijuana as, basically being the same thing as cocaine.
And there was a lot of Hispanic and anti-Mexican racism tied up in that.
No, I don't believe this is America.
I know, not in America. I know that was a huge factor. Like some of those, what did they call it? Like the cannabis scare videos. Anyway, they would often portray really awful stereotypes of Mexicans or Hispanics, and
the cannabis scare, the socialism scare, and the satanic scare.
That's just what we keep doing.
Oh, and the fentanyl Halloween candy scare.
Yeah. Where was that? I found none. I got none.
It just wasn't reported by the news. There's millions of dead trick-or-treaters.
Oh, hey, I know everyone is so scared of fentanyl. If you happen to walk by any little tiny bit of fentanyl, you could just OD immediately. I accidentally squirted it all over my hands, and I'm still alive.
What's the drug they use to is it Narcan? Is that?
Yeah, Narcan. Yeah.
Yeah, Narcan. Like, I have heard that the profits of that drug have gone through the roof.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, because and everybody now, anytime somebody's passed out, like they just Narcan. Which that's a hit to if you just like passed out, like everybody should have Narcan. I think it's life saving. It's really good. But my husband works in the ER and they get people off and on who are just getting like Narcan. Like somebody just finds somebody passed out and they just Narcan them.
We should start we should make like a Narcan like soap that actually doesn't have anything in it. It could just be like wheatgrass and just say that it's Narcan soap. And that way, if somebody says, "Oh, I think there was fentanyl there," well, here, you just washed with this soap, and you'll be immune from it for months. And because they never come across it, they'll be like, "Oh, the fucking soap works perfectly." I mean, we should start
selling. Sell people like. So if you come in contact with it puts a shield. It doesn't have to be real. They don't believe real things.
It's a vaccine. Oh no, we can't call it that.
No, it's a skin immune booster.
So it's a homeopathic treatment, all natural, and will stop the fentanyl while also erasing the vaccine from your DNA. So you can be like Aaron Rodgers. You can be completely free of mRNA.
Yeah.
I know us religious people don't support the legalization of cannabis. Anyone know why? That's a mystery to me. But they're also against alcohol, right? Like, so anything that's mind altering.
Yeah. I think it's or because they all grew up with it's Reefer Madness. Reefer Madness. Like they all grew up with thinking Reefer Madness was a thing, and if you smoked weed, you'd become possessed, and at least that's what I was told growing up. But whatever. So I know among the Mormons, that is a huge the Mormons are super against the legalization of weed, so they push really hard against it in California and Idaho. A lot of the legislators, I don't know where a lot of them fall, but some of the Mormon ones are staunchly against the legalization of weed.
What are they more against, weed or sex?
Oh, well,
or Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, God, that's hard.
Them.
That is
right,
okay.
Wait, I want to talk to. We're gonna do a Dig on America tradition here. We'll end with this before the ASMR moment.
Okay.
I'm talking to Mormon Lindsay.
Yes.
From the 90s.
Okay. Well, how about 2000?
Snap one, marry one, prank one. Dungeons and Dragons. Weed and sex. Premarital sex.
Oh, that's
prank
so
one,
bad.
Marry one, snap one.
Okay, so this is going to be hard because premarital sex is the second word, or is just below murder. So
and toes, tons of mice, yes.
Yes, and toes. So doing that, you're just slightly less terrible of a person than a murderer. So okay. Let me think. I would probably snap Dungeons and Dragons because that can be used to possess poor innocent kids.
Okay.
So we just have to get rid of that off the table. Wait, what are they? I forget. This isn't
weed and premarital sex.
No, I know those. What are the other things I do? I can snap.
You have to
kill.
You have to prank one and marry one now.
Okay, prank one and marry one.
You already snapped, which is the K.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna prank. Oh geez, this is so bad. Probably marry weed because you could repent for that. It's not that bad. And prank. What is prank premarital sex?
Prank is a proxy for sex, so it makes sense.
Oh, okay.
You'd be having sex with marital sex, with premarital sex.
So yeah, well, yeah, I guess you'd have to do that. But then it'd be so bad because then you're probably going to go to hell. But
twice because you effed sex.
Yeah.
You prank, or you could just
Okay,
say
but
you were
is it
prank
okay?
calling
No,
it.
but I think it's a double negative. So like, you fucked the premarital sex, so like it went away. It's a double negative. That's how math works.
Yeah, I suppose you could use. Yeah, okay. So now you're in a real conundrum. You're gonna have to pray about that.
I know.
Again,
I
we're talking to
probably
Mormon Lindsay.
honestly, it was probably a sin to even play the game. So
Yeah, you shouldn't have. You should have been more aware of your circumstances. Personal
Mhm.
responsibility, Lindsay.
yeah,
Don't put yourself in situations where you might
I know.
sin.
I need to avoid the appearance of evil. Like just, it was really bad. So hey, Constance.
Jesse, I really wish I had the answers to your questions. They're way too well thought out. I'm not in. I wasn't in government when they had these conversations, and it's like most things in this country, they're against it because they're against it.
Yeah.
Because they've always been against it, so they must be against it because they must be right because it's always been right, so it is right. What's your evidence? I don't have any. It just has to be right. I've always been told that. So, all right, we will do an ASMR moment. We'll let Lindsay get back to her familia.
All right.
I
don't
will
know if
log
this will
in
be-
and do a stream in about an hour on my on Dutch Jason channel. So with that being said, Justin Freakin, what's up, man?
Hey, hey.
Thanks for
Okay, we'll see
stopping
if-
into the channel.
We'll see if this is good. I haven't tried this, so I don't know how this is going to sound, but I didn't prep. Sorry, guys. I didn't prep great. So let's see if this is good ASMR. Oh, before we do this, Azriel, yes, Girl Defined, hate them. I hate them. I follow them on Instagram because they make me crazy. So I do know who they are. They are really awful. It might be too loud. There we go. Hey, Justin Freakin, you can follow me on Socialistly Awkward, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and on Dig on America.
Yes. Okay. So I know this is confusing
thank
for a
you,
couple
Pat
of you that
Shelty.
are out there. And my stream might slow down for a second when I do this. I'm going to raid out. If you are watching on Dutch Jason channel, touch that shout out that I just gave to Dig on America. If you want to go raid, we'll go raid our friends over at Cosmopolitics. So I will put that raid through in about 30 seconds. Lindsay,
I'll see you guys later.
as always, I will see you next
See
Friday.
you guys next week. Bye.
And for those of you who are watching on Dutch Jason channel, I do a podcast with Lindsay separate from my other show. So this is actually on 2 Twitch channels and on YouTube. It's not my normal Twitch stream. So if you guys could be super kind enough to help support the raid, we'll go raid over to Cosmopolitan. Actually, we'll raid over to we'll raid over to Ariana. We'll raid over to Ariana's show. And we will do that. Oh, actually, you know what? No, we will raid over to HR Johnson. So pop over to Dig on America. And sorry, I'm just trying to be decisive here. So we will raid over to my friend HR Johnson. Say hello to her. And we will head over there in a second. And then I will be back in about an hour and a half on the Dutch Jason channel. And we will see you guys there.